Okay, everybody ready? Go ahead and call this meeting to order. Ask everybody to please stand and join in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance. to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I ask you to please remain standing for a moment of silence for those serving overseas and for those serving here at home, our employees here at the city of Hazelwood, and most importantly, our residents. Any of us that have lost a loved one or a friend, let's also remember them. Thank you. Thank you, see it. Next, we have roll call.
Ms. Wadlow?
Yes.
Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Matlock?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Ms. Hatton? Here. Mr. Oops?
Here.
Mr. Abshawn? Mr. Marquez?
Here.
Quorum is present.
Next, we have the amendment or adoption of the agenda. Is there any discussion on the agenda as printed?
Move to adopt, Caleb.
Second. Oops.
We do need to amend because we're taking the,
That's under consent.
I'm sorry, my apologies. I apologize. My mistake.
Okay, we got the motion and a second for the adoption of the agenda as printed. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have the amendment or adoption of the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda?
There's
Move to adopt.
Litigation, they're closed.
So David's asking that we have that removed of litigation in the closed session. Make a motion to have.
Motion to remove it.
So it's a motion and a second from Butch.
Yeah.
To amend the agenda, the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none. This is a vote to amend the agenda, the consent agenda. All those, I'm sorry, this will be a roll call vote. No, the amendment we can call a voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Is there a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda as amended?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be a roll call.
Ms. Wadlow? Yes. Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Matlock?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hatton? Yes. Mr. Oops?
Yes.
Mr. Marquez?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to a special order of business. We got employee introductions. Chief Lowly, would you please step forward? Yes.
Fire Academy, St. Louis County Fire Academy in July of 2021 and earned his paramedic certificate in 2024. Prior to joining Hazelwood, Charles gained valuable experience working as an EMT with Cedar Hill Fire Protection District, Abbott EMS, and Total Access Urgent Care. Currently resides in the city of St. Louis, and in his free time, he enjoys staying active by exercising, spending time outdoors, fishing, and camping. Please join us in welcoming firefighter paramedic Hill. What is that? Hill, to the City of Hazelwood Fire Department.
Chief Hudnick?
Good evening. We, in the Police Department and Code Enforcement, are excited to welcome Sarah Carney as our new plan reviewer. A graduate of St. Charles West High School and Southeast Missouri State University, Sarah brings strong community ties to this role. She spent the last 5 years working as a design consultant where she gained technical knowledge and practical field experience in her position for the plan reviewer. During that time, she discovered how much she enjoys being a small part of something bigger, leaving a footprint in the community and taking pride in projects she helped shape. She especially loves driving past buildings or homes she personally worked on, which inspired her to continue in the field of construction and renovation. Sarah's looking forward to developing an understanding of building codes and construction practices, is devoted to ensuring the safety, quality, and compliance of the projects we oversee. Outside of work, she enjoys spending time with her family, interior decorating, coaching gymnastics, and staying active through fitness. Please join us in congratulating Sarah on this exciting transition and welcome her to her new position. Family,
I'll do you guys first.
Anybody come up?
well,
Dr.
I got it.
You can.
Asner. Officer Neff, will you step forward, please? Right there, fine. On January 18th, 2025, Hazelwood police officers responded to a highly dangerous and emotionally charged incident involving a suicidal subject reportedly armed with an AK-47 at 5300 in the 5300 block of Villa Angela. On arrival, officers learned the subject was inside the residence. Officer Aaron Neff and Officer Tess Clythermis, she's on active duty in the military and can't be here this evening, were able to establish phone contact with the armed individual who eventually exited the home. As he knelt with the rifle under his chin and his finger on the trigger, both officers continued to engage him in conversation. After several tense minutes, Officer Clythermes convinced him to surrender the weapon, at which point she safely secured the firearm and detained the individual with the assistance of Officer Neff. While Officers Neff and Clythermes were de-escalating the situation, Officer Jackson Foster, Sergeant Seavey, Lieutenant Schnurbush, and Captain Tashner held tactical positions, maintained control of the perimeter, and prepared for the possible use of lethal force if necessary. Meanwhile, Officer Shane Olmsted, who's not with us this evening, and Captain Tashner also secured the rear of the evidence, provided support in taking the subject into custody and interviewing family members. Supervisors on scene, including Sergeant Seavey, Lieutenant Schnurbush, and Captain Tashner, also exercised effective command and control, managing both the intoxicated and emotional family and the safety of all involved, while quickly securing the subject rifle after his detention. In recognition of their outstanding performance during this critical incident, Officers Clythermes and Neff are awarded the Meritorious Service Citation for their extraordinary courage, professionalism, and tactical communication skills in safely de-escalating an encounter with an armed suicidal subject. Their actions reflect the highest standards of the Hazelwood Police Department. Additionally, Captain Tashner, Lieutenant Schnurbush, Sergeant Seavey, and Officers Olmsted and Foster awarded the Chief's Commendation for their effective scene management, tactical coordination, and leadership will play a critical role in achieving a safe and peaceful resolution. With that, thank you. Photo?
I guess.
Yeah. Here, you, anything? Sorry, do I put you back?
Very good. Thank you.
No, sure. Mr. Mayor, couple more photos, please.
Okay, yes, please step forward, Norris.
Thank you very much.
Move special order of business, we have, 5C and D, rescheduled for another meeting, so we'll move on to, citizens hearing and presentation. Citizens' comments and discussion will be heard this time, shall be limited to a total of 15 minutes. may be increased by the chair or at the council's discretion or by approved by a majority of the members of the council members present at the meeting. Is there anybody from the audience who'd like to come up and speak under citizens' comments? Yes, sir.
I guess. No.
Kevin Foley, a 57-year resident of Villa Maria. Tonight, I'm gonna talk to you about a couple things. TIF that you voted on at last council meeting and some code issues. Thank you to the two councilmen that voted against the TIF last meeting. Thank you for truly representing your constituents. So this $100 million company, Pivot Bio, doesn't meet the requirements of the first TIF you granted them, which probably drove the tax rate up. And then you granted them a second TIF. We give these large companies, in this one instance, $100 million revenue company, a break on their taxes for years. A lot of the time, 10 years. While the taxes of any business not qualifying for a TIF, small businesses like mine and residents pay their personal property taxes and property taxes at an increase. This does not benefit the public residents of the city. It benefits the big companies that are making millions. In Hazelwood, the median income is approximately $55,930. That income pays 100% of their personal property and real estate taxes with $0 of any kind of break or discount of their income. A TIF seems like it is a pull for big businesses to come to our city to have their businesses make millions in profits at a cost to the small business and the taxpayers of Hazelwood. These decisions you have made have taxed our community and the city, and it shows throughout. You voted to do an economic development study. That study told us that we are the third highest taxed municipality in St. Louis County. We have empty commercial real estate. We have empty warehousing. We have empty storefronts and buildings all over this city. Our parks and recreation is a disaster, in my opinion, and it shows. Code enforcement throughout the city is non-existent, and it shows. And this council is running the city. I went on Pivot Bio's website. This is them right off of their website. Company says its revenue grew more than 60% in 2023 and surpassed 100 million for the first time. Growth was due to more than 95% revenue retention. Yeah, they are. They're growing because they're using the taxpayers' money to grow their companies and keeping their money. What it says right here, net revenue retention. Growth was due to more than 95% net revenue retention from Pivot Bio's 2022 grower cohort and over 190% net revenue retention from 2020 and 2021. And you guys granted these guys a TIF at the expense of the taxpayer. Here's an explanation of how TIFs work. I don't believe this, and I'm going to tell you why. Here's a more detailed breakdown of how TIFs work. Designation of a TIF district. A municipality designates a specific area as a TIF district, often one that is blighted, undeveloped, and underutilized. This describes Hazelwood. I don't know about the blighted part, but it's underdeveloped and underutilized because of the tax rate. Base property value. The property values within the TIF district at a time of designation are established baseline. Tax increment. The increase in property value leads to an increase in property tax revenues. It leads to an increase in the property value of the millionaires, but it leads to an increased property tax for the small guy and for the taxpayer in St. Louis, and that's what it's done. This increase, called a tax increment, is the key to how TIF works. Funding the development. The municipality uses the tax increment to pay for the public's investment. Strange how the public invests their monies into these $1 million corporations. for them to get revenue and millions. The municipality uses the tax increment to pay for the public investment made by the TIF district, often by issuing bonds secured by the future tax revenue. Private development and benefits. The private development facilitated by the public investment, and TIF funding brings benefits such as job creation, increased economic activity, and larger tax base for the municipality. I circled this because I don't understand this at all. I don't know how job creation in our community creates a benefit because most of them people don't live in the city of Hazelwood and don't pay taxes in Hazelwood. Increased economic activity, we don't have none of that. We got empty buildings all over the place. A larger tax base, we do have that. Key points. TIF is a targeted tool, meaning it's designed to address specific needs within a designated area. I guess we are a blighted community because that's what it talks about. It's based on the idea that public investments can induce private development and generate increased tax revenues and taxes. TIF can be used for a variety of purposes, including encouraging development, eliminating blight, addressing environmental issues, we have all that, and facilitate adaptive reuse. We don't have none of that. A TIF can be a powerful tool for economic development, but it's also a complex process with potential downsides. We're going to talk about them downsides. Tax increment financing can have several negative consequences. They include diverting property tax revenue, which is what you guys did, from essential public services like schools. We have that, potentially leading to higher costs for residents. We have that, and causing gentrification with the displacement of low-income residents and businesses. Gentrification means that higher classified people and higher classified businesses are going to displace the low-income residents. That has not happened. We have plenty of low-income rental houses throughout Hazelwood. Businesses, we have plenty of empty spaces in Hazelwood. TIFs can also be opaque with limited public input. We have that, no input in that whatsoever. With limited input on how funds are spent and may not always lead to the desired economic development. That's happened in Hazelwood. I Googled negative TIF, how the effects of negative TIFs on communities. 2 articles came up. One in 2018, one was done in 2024. This is the first one. I urge you guys to look at these and read them. This is our city to a T. This was done by Will Jason of the New Lincoln Institute. And this is only part of it. You should go in and look at the rest of this. Tax increment financing, or TIF, is a widely popular economic development tool in the United States, but it often falls short of its promises to revitalize struggling neighborhoods. So concludes a New London Institute report that reviews how TIF programs have performed across the nation. In improving tax increment financing for economic development, University of Illinois and at Chicago professor David Merriman reviews more than 30 studies of TIF over several decades, concluding that in most cases, TIF has not accomplished the goal of promoting economic development. This is our city to a T. Second was the 2024. Creative advising, maximizing wealth, minimizing taxes. This is a company, their phone number's right there. Great article. This is only part of it. What are the potential pitfalls of using TIF for urban redevelopment in 2024? As urban landscapes continue to evolve and cities strive to stay afloat in the competitive world of development, tax increment financing often emerges as an attractive solution. TIF is a public financing method utilized for subsidizing redevelopment, infrastructure, and other community improvement projects. However, as we approach 2024, experts are starting to question the potential pitfalls of using TIF for urban redevelopment. This article will delve into this topic, offering a comprehensive examination on the various aspects of this issue. Our first segment will offer insights into the basics of tax increment financing, providing a fundamental understanding of its origins, operations, and implementation. This section is crucial for setting the stage of subsequent discussions. The impact of TIF on local revenues in 2024. Tax increment financing is a public financing method that is used for subsidizing redevelopment, infrastructure, and other community and development projects. However, the impact of TIF on local revenues can be significant concern, particularly in the context of urban redevelopment in 2024. One key issue is that TIF uses future gains in taxes to finance current improvements, which means there may be less revenue available for other local government needs. This is us. This can lead to a budget shortfalls in other areas such as public education, health services, and public safety, especially if the expected development doesn't generate the projected tax net revenue increases. That is what just happened last meeting. Moreover, TIF districts can divert tax revenues away from the general fund for several years. As such, the local government may need to raise taxes, or cut services to make up for the shortfall, which could place an additional burden on taxpayers, which it has. This could be particularly accurate in 2024, given the ongoing economic uncertainties and potential inflationary pressures. Lastly, there is a risk that the economic benefits of TIF-funded projects may not materialize as projected. That's what happened with the last company last meeting. For instance, if a new development fails to attract the expected level of business activity, or if property values do not rise as expected, the tax increment may not be sufficient to pay TIF debt. In such cases, the local government may need to use general funds to repay the debt, thereby further straining local tax revenues. This last paragraph is us to a T. Lastly, TIF also carries the risk of exacerbating income inequality. This is because TIF often benefits property owners and developers who are typically wealthier at the expense of renters and low-income residents who may be displaced as a result of the redevelopment projects. That's not happening, but everything else is. I went around, and I've been doing this for a while. I stopped at 20 empty commercial properties in the city of Hazelwood. Nowhere in Maryland Heights, Florissant, St. Charles, Bridgeton can you find this much empty commercial property. Down at the Mills, 1710 St. Louis Mills. That's the old Jared Jewelers, 5+ years. 1700 St. Louis Mills Circle. That's the little restaurant behind them. 5534 St. Louis Mills, Steak and Shake. 5546, that's the restaurant next to them, 5+ years. 5552 St. Louis Mills Circle, that's the restaurant next to that. Acres of undeveloped commercial property of St. Louis Mills Boulevard. There is acres and acres and acres of undeveloped commercial property down there. 20 years now. 830 James S. McDonald Boulevard, the dealership on the corner of McDonald Boulevard and 270. Been empty 3 to 5 years now. Rest of these, 5091 Lindbergh, that's the corner of Lindbergh and McDonald Boulevard. 20+ years that property's been empty. 5911 North Lindbergh, 5914. These are all small commercial office spaces. 5914 North Lindbergh, 5912 North Lindbergh, 6050 North Lindbergh, 6054 North Lindbergh, 9079 Dunn. That's the corner of Teson and Howdershell. That property has been empty for 10+ years. People want that property for a used car lot. You guys could change that. 9051 Dunn Road, 6879 Howdershell, 7025 Howdershell, 6194 Howdershell, 1133 Howdershell. Big piece of undeveloped property next to the bank down there. Tons and tons of warehousing on Aviator Drive. Now we're going to talk about code and the lack thereof. Mr. Robinson once told me,
Mr. Foley, let me
Yeah.
get you. you know the rules, it says 15 minutes in our speech.
Have I been 15
I
minutes?
don't know, but let's just keep it short,
Uh,
okay?
if somebody wanted to time me, no, I'll stick to my 15 minutes, no problem. Mr. Robinson once told me the council runs this city. I found this to be true when I started studying the charter. Unfortunately, I don't believe this or see this in the decisions that affect our community. I have brought many issues to this council that still exist throughout our community: parks and recreation, code enforcement, economic development. Tonight, I am presenting you the code in the existing charter about travel trailers and RVs for all of you to see, and that there is no confliction. The problem is that code enforcement is unable to interpret them and lacks enforcement of this and multiple other codes within our charter. Councilman Smith, a large part of our ward, of your ward, is my neighborhood, and you lack representation throughout my community. Your neighborhood is separate than mine. I drove down your street recently and I didn't see any 2-foot tall grass or overgrown rental properties. I didn't see any derelict, unlicensed vehicles with flat tires sitting on your streets. I didn't see travel trailers and RVs parked to the curb. I didn't see commercial mowing trailers or roofing trailers connected to trucks parked out to the curb and over sidewalks. I didn't see box trucks or tow trucks or rollbacks parked at your neighbors' houses. No trailers and cars parked on unapproved surfaces. All these things are present in my neighborhood and many other parts of Hazelwood. As residents of this community, is what you want to look out your front window is 400 square feet to the side of a trailer or RV parked to the curb and 5 feet off your property line. When you sit on the porch to drink your morning coffee, is this what people are forced to look at, the side of an RV or trailer? How about when you invite your family and friends over for holidays? How about trying to sell your home next to this? Or what this council should be thinking about most of all is someone new coming to this community. It's time this council start running the city and doing what you sit in these seats for, representing the people of the community that you are invested, representing the people of the community that are invested in this city. Enough is enough. We're going to start in the middle of this. We're going to go to mobile homes and mobile home parks. And then we're going to go to what I consider the beginning, because residential parking applies to mobile home parks. Mobile home parks is a totally and separate entity. It is different zoning requirements. Section 42200 definitions. These are all in the charter. You guys can look them up. I put them on paper for you. A trailer, which is a dependent trailer. A trailer, which is, these are definitions, a trailer which is dependent upon a service building for toilet and laboratory facilities. These are all in mobile homes and mobile home parks code. Travel trailers, so any in the definitions and in anything else in the charter where it says TT or travel trailer, this includes all of this. Number one, travel trailer, a vehicular portable structure built on a chassis designed to be used as a temporary dwelling for travel, recreational or vacational uses. Permanently identified travel trailer by the manufacturer of the trailer, and when factory equipped for the road, it shall have a body length not exceeding 32 feet. That's what's allowed in the city. Under travel trailer, it also defines pickup coach, a structural designed to be mounted on a truck chassis for use as a temporary dwelling for travel, recreation, and vacation. Also the meaning definition under travel trailer, motor home, a portable temporary dwelling to be used for travel, recreation, and vacation, constructed as an integral part of a self-propelled vehicle. Number 4, camping trailer, a canvas folding structure mounted on wheels and designed for travel, recreational, and vacation use. So that's all, when it mentions travel trailer, everything under that definition is defined under that. Travel trailer parking area, parcel of land in which 2 or more spaces are occupied intended for occupancy by trailers for transient dwelling purposes. This is a big thing here. I'm a plumber. Backflow prevention and back siphonage. Section 420, 260, water supply. watering stations for travel trailers. Each travel trailer parking area shall be provided with one or more easily accessible water supply outlets for filling water storage tanks. Such water supply outlets shall consist of at least one hydrant and the necessary appurtenances and shall be protected against the hazards of backflow and back siphonage. We have travel trailers, RVs, and campers hooked up in the city of Hazelwood and being occupied. I have pictures of it. After this session, I'm gonna send them to Mr. Leeser. They're in your ward and code enforcement. 420-250 environmental open space and access requirements. Required separation between travel trailers. Trailers shall be separated from each other and from other structures by at least 10 feet. Any accessory structures such as an awning, attached awning, carport, or individual storage facility shall, for the purpose of these separation requirements, be considered to be part of the trailer.
Mr. Mullins, I'd just like to say you've exceeded the 15 minutes that we allow under public comment, and we'd like to have a move on with anybody else in their public comment and save that time for other residents.
Well, the whole problem with this is
I just had signs from council members that were giving me the signal that
I'll bring it to next meeting. I'll also bring a bunch of code about commercial vehicles that are in violation of too, sir. Thank you for your time.
anybody else that are.
Victor Rose, excuse me, 5037 Tulip Tree for about 3-4 years now. I would like at the beginning, when you have the moment of silence, remember the tornado victims in St. Louis.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else that are public comment? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name's Don Davidson. I live on Rose Blossom Lane. Been a resident of Hazelwood for 65 years. I too am concerned about the TIF that you all voted for. I don't agree with it a bit. I had a company. I worked out of my home for 45 years in Hazelwood, and I never once got any breaks for taxes or anything. Worked our butts off and we shut the doors in 2015 because of high taxes. And of course, it's not your problem. The cost of health insurance, we couldn't afford that anymore, so we shut the doors and retired. I just don't understand how you can give these big millionaire companies tax breaks and the little people, the mom and pops, we pay the taxes for them. I don't agree with it and don't appreciate it. My second concern is I'm so tired of looking at a neighbor of mine on Leaf Crest. At the present time, he has 3 deer mounted on the front of his house. I mean, he's got so much junk and crap. I know you know who I'm talking about. I call him Junkyard Johnny at 1721 Leaf Crest. I am sick and tired of looking at his rocks, his junk he puts in the front yard. He's got 3 motorcycles sitting up on top of the rocks like I don't get it. I have company come to my house and every single time, who is that nut up there on Leaf Crest? I just imagine trying to move and people coming in to look at my house and see this nut up there with that crap in his front yard. And I'm tired of it. And I wish you could do something about it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anybody else under public comment?
Hello, council. My name is Jessica Platt. I live at 512 Fox Trail Drive. We've heard a lot tonight about the just blanked on the word, sorry, I have aphasia. The bill you guys voted on last time, there were two of you who didn't and one who didn't. And the rest of you did. I am part of your word, Mr. Hugsad. How do you pronounce your last name? Marquez, sorry about that. Thank you. I don't know what that company wanted an extension for. I work in public service. I have no idea what that company needed an extension for. All I know is that I am in agreement with the two who voted no, because I heard a lot that night and I was like, why would we vote for this? This doesn't sound right. Because, I'm in agreement with them when they asked what will happen when they aren't able to get businesses in their property. They're gonna cut out and then we're stuck with the bill. And, I am fortunate. I have a job that pays me and all that. But I know a lot of people who aren't. And, that have to live paycheck to paycheck. And I don't think that's a life that anyone should have. So I'm not sure if I can ask you to do anything, Mr. Marquez. But the next time something like that comes up, I hope you do think about the people who live in Hazelwood and the jobs they have and how much they pay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else under public comment? Nobody else? Go ahead and call that portion of the meeting closed, and we'll move on to public hearings. We have item 8A. Alanda, petition for special land use permit for a restaurant with a drive-up window at 322 Taylor Road.
Good evening, everyone. Baladna LLC is proposing to open a restaurant at 322 Taylor Road. They plan to serve Mediterranean food with carry-in and dine-out. They will also make use of the existing drive-through window for to-go orders, like Uber Eats, DoorDash, stuff like that. They do not plan to serve alcohol. They will be open 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., and there will be 3 employees on maximum shift. The building itself was constructed in 1990. It was a Jack in the Box up until just a couple of years ago and has been vacant ever since. It's a little more than 2,000 square feet. They have plenty of parking available. The lot is nicely striped and maintained. They have 35 parking spaces and 2 ADA spaces. They are required to have 28 of them. The floor plan shows 13 tables in the dining area, total of 78 seats for that. They'll have kitchen, walk-in fridge, freezer, office, restrooms, warehouse. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Any of council have any questions?
What is in that space now?
It's vacant, has been since Jack in the Box closed in 2020.
Is there any presentation?
The petitioner is here tonight. If you'd like to introduce himself, if you have any questions for him. Come on up. Sign your name, address, and zip code.
Welcome to the city of Hazel.
Thank you. My name is Iyad Afana. We would like to open the restaurant. When it used to be Jack in the Box on 322 Taylor Road. So we're gonna open like what she said, it's Mediterranean food. Provide like pizza, shish kebab, hummus, and some stuff. This is Mediterranean food, our food. We have like 13 table dining and with a drive-through. This is basically this what we're trying to do.
Thank you. Appreciate your presentation. Do council members have any questions
Just how soon do you hope to open?
When we can open?
Yeah.
As soon as they get our
Okay,
permit.
so you're ready to go?
Yes, ready to
Okay.
go.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you.
Well, this is a public hearing. We have sent out notices. Is there anybody from the audience that would like to come up and speak that has interest in the project or any information? Any residents would like to come and ask it for any information on this particular public hearing? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and call that the public hearing be closed. And if there's no further questions from the council, let's have a reading.
Yes, sir.
Planning and zoning. Go ahead.
Mr. Strutman made a motion, seconded by Mr. Rodell, to approve the petition for a restaurant and a restaurant fast food at 322 Taylor Road in Ward 2 with the following condition. That the owner shall be required to maintain a fully functional video recording system on the property to ensure the safety of guests, to deter criminal activity, and to assist law enforcement in following up on reported criminal activity. The cameras should be set up to accurately record entry/exit doors from the inside, any area where money may be handled or stored inside of the business, and a view of the parking lot from the front door of the business. The system shall be checked by the owner on a weekly basis to ensure proper functionality, and the owner shall be responsible for making any appropriate repairs as soon as reasonably possible upon determining a defect in operation. The owner operator shall agree to make the recording data available to law enforcement upon request. Recordings shall be saved and able to be retried for a minimum of 30 days. The motion passed unanimously.
There's any questions from council? Any further discussion? Be appropriate to put on for first reading?
Make a motion, put on first reading.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, and if there's no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we've got 8B, Dave Tuberty with the proposed fiscal year of 2025, 2026. But Mr. Tuberty.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. David Tuberty, Director of Finance. Tonight, I would like to present to you a summary of the proposed budget for the city of Hazelwood for the fiscal year, which will end on June 30th, 2026. This document is a result of efforts of the city staff beginning in December and right up to today. City department heads estimated needs for the fiscal year ended June 26. Interim city manager David Leeser and I worked with the directors and management to come up with initial estimates. At a work session on April 30th, the council evaluated the information contained here. Slide presentation will cover the general fund and total city overview with a mention of other funds expenditures. Details are found in the proposed budget document. Here we go.
All right, looking for the mouse. So
There we
then I gotta share the screen here. Hold on. Okay.
Okay. Did that, all right.
Look at that technology.
Moving swiftly. All right.
I was sweating. I couldn't find the mouse. Now I'm sitting over there.
David, show off.
We'll start off with our current year. We are currently in the 2025 fiscal year. Starting off the year with $25 million roughly in our fund balance. We're anticipating revenues of 38 million, estimated expenses a little over 37 million, leaving us with a surplus of 926,000 and ending the year with a fund balance of 25,736,000. The parenthetical percentage there, 69%, that represents, what that says is that fund balance represents about 69% of the annual expenditures that are budgeted. So, and the city's threshold for that, by ordinance is a 17%, meaning we have to keep it at least above 17%. Right now, we're at 69%, so we're in good shape. Next year, we're gonna start again with that same fund balance. Estimate revenues, 50,500,000, almost 600,000. Estimated expenses, 54 million. And we are looking at a deficit of 3,688,000. That's a lot. We're gonna talk about that a little bit further on. Ending fund balance of $22 million, which puts us at about 40% of our goal, or 40% of our spending, still well above our statutory threshold and well above our goal of 25%. Some of the assumptions for revenue for 26, that's mislabeled. We have 1.6 million of FEMA flood buyout program revenue that was moved from 25. It's not happening this year. It'll be, we moved it into the 26 fiscal year. And then another flood buyout program, this one representing 12,400,000 for the Normandy Court area flooding. Sales tax is obviously not changing much. If we're looking at about a 1.5% or across the board. Other areas, use tax, utility tax, property tax, we're expecting zero changes. 25 is a reassessment year, so we may see some changes in our base. But I wouldn't expect a whole lot of additional revenue. The assessment for 25 will be what is revenue for this 26 budget. Assumptions for the expenditure, starting with personnel. Personnel is our largest cost all across the city. We are proposing a 3.5% COLA in addition to a step for the employees. Pension increased by considerably last year, so this year the increase is only about 63,000. It's a lot, but it's not really a big percentage compared to the $2 million is going into the pension. 6% increase in health insurance. Last year we had no increase, which was nice. Moving into slate, but this year there will be a 6% increase. We had 10% the prior year. Dental, vision are not changing at all, and the workers' comp insurance rate is increasing by about 4%. Looking at this just kind of shows the tracking the expenditure and revenue side by side or right on top of each other. Red is the expenditure, green is budget. And you can see that while it has crossed over and increased many times, the general trend, which is represented by those dotted lines, the dashed lines there, you can see that over time, they really pretty much are staying the same, where revenue is staying just ahead of expenditures. Let's see, the general fund expenditures, we are looking at a, in the past, looking back at this graph, you can see some of the dips and increases. In 21, we had a big drop, about 800,000 due to mainly as an initial response to COVID. But then in 22, we saw fairly big increase as resuming normal activities. Over the next 3 years, we saw an increase by about $7 million over those 3 years. And that was mostly increases in personnel costs. And finally, this year, the biggest increase is represented by of 17 million is increased. The biggest portion of that is $14 million in flood buyout reimbursements. Those are expenses too, just a reminder, those are not expenses that we will incur. If there's no reimbursement, we won't be spending that. Another big shift in another big increase in the general fund has to do with shifting capital purchases. Over the years, we've had a lot of things going in capital that really should have been in the general fund. They're recurring, they kind of fall below the threshold of what we would capitalize. These things had been in there for years, but now we're moving them back over. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. So, and then let's see, just a recap of general fund. The total expenditures for 25, 37 million, which was, resulted in a surplus of, which will result in a $900,000 surplus and about $25 million fund balance. The general fund for this year, about 54 million. 17 million increase, but we talked about what that really represents, and a $3.6 million deficit. So I want to talk a little bit about that real quick. In fiscal 23, we budgeted a $25,000 deficit, but we ended up with a $6.5 million surplus. In 24, we budgeted a $3.5 million deficit. We ended up with only about a $600,000 deficit. 25, last year, we budgeted a $3 million deficit. We're expecting to end up with a $900,000 surplus. What that really is saying is we've always budgeted conservatively and fairly accurately for expenditure. We've always managed to come very close to what we budgeted. Revenue, though, is always hard to predict, and we have managed over the last few years to come out better than we had anticipated, mainly because of revenues. You can see we've continued to follow the trend over the years. We expect to start the year just short of $26 million and ending with 22. We have enough fund balance, therefore, to continue this trend until the trend actually starts to change and go bad for us. We will then have time to make hard choices long before we even approach the threshold of the 17% established by city code. Okay. And then we talked about the general fund reserves a little bit. You can see that those blue bars at the bottom, those represent, the dark blue represents the 17% reserve for any particular year. That is what we would have, the statutory rate would have required. 25% is just a benchmark that most of us would really try to maintain as more safety than 17%. But the line at the top shows us where we actually are. So again, most of the years since 2018, we have managed to keep above that 25% threshold. And right now, we're very safely above that. The biggest areas of expenditure this year, it changes. Administration is generally not 37%. It's generally not that high. The main reason for that is because of the flood buyout programs. That's 14 million of that 19 million that's in there. Administration represents several departments and is usually a much smaller, more like around the $4 to $5 million range. The police is next, usually the largest cost center at 12 million. Fire and ambulance, 9.6 million, and fire districts, 6 million. And you can see that even if you put all the fire together, that would make it an even bigger cost center. That is really our biggest cost area. Now moving to the Economic Development Fund. The assumptions for 26, we're planning for local incentive programs. Those are the forgivable loans that the fund can offer to companies coming here. We have also the Phantom Road reconstruction. We'll expect it to get underway in 26 and $5.25 million for that. Other areas of street maintenance that economic development takes care of, and that's about $500,000 $525,000 in total. Revenues are greater, we're expecting bigger revenues, next year, $2.2 million will be a grant for the Phantom Road project, while the sales tax that supports the Economic Development Fund is just gonna stay relatively flat. Expenditures are about 7 million greater than 25. Again, that's the Phantom Road project. But even at the end of all of this, the fund balance for 26 at the end of the year, we're looking at $8.2 million. Capital, we're looking at, it's just a increase of about $400,000 in revenues. Sales tax is not really going anywhere, but it will be a park grant for the Purcell Park project that will be going on in 26. Expenditures are $600,000 less, most of which are the debt and lease payments of $1 million. We do have park upgrades of $880,000, and then vehicle replacements $328,000. We expect to end the capital improvement fund with about $94 million in its balance, which means that our goal is to essentially spend the capital projects as it comes up. Normally in the budget book and in the presentation that we would give, we'd show the top 20 capital improvement purchases, but this year there's only 16. We're seeing that while capital improvement sales tax does not really go up much from year to year, the cost of the items that are being purchased are going up. So instead of a fairly large number of items this year, it's only about 16. The biggest one being the Purcell Park upgrades. We have a couple of bonds that we're paying still, cars, and so forth. Getting to the end here, sewer lateral fund is the revenues this year about 140,000. During the course of this past year, the council approved decreasing the sewer lateral fee from $20 per household to $10 per household. So next year, we're looking at about half of the revenues. In the expenditures about the same every year, but fund balance, we're still at 527,000. So probably a good idea to reduce the fee for a few years. Debt service, we are coming to the end of a lot of our debt. At the end of 26, we should have $1.2 million left in outstanding debt. Our principal and interest payments are around $2.2 million every year. The GEO bonds that were put in place in 2005 and 2007, they will pay off in total in 26. The rest of our bonds are coming due in the next 2 to 3 years. So the proposed budget that was originally distributed to the council for the work session has been updated with some of the changes that were discussed there. The totals presented here are up to date and agree with the draft that was sent to you prior to tonight's meeting. It is a recommendation of the city staff that this budget be adopted, and we're asking to be placed on first reading tonight. I would like to thank interim city manager David Leeser, the city department heads, the finance staff, and the council for their efforts in preparing this document, helping me bring it to you tonight. So, are there any questions?
Any questions from council members on the budget?
I do have a question for the Phantom Road. Have we gotten, grants from that? Or we're just now using what we've got?
The grants have not, I mean, have we received any cash for that?
Like in prior years?
Prior years, no, not yet.
Okay,
It doesn't, we wouldn't get the funds for that until we actually spend it.
okay. I guess we talked about it last year, that's where.
Right, and we talked about it last year, the same way we did this year, where, yeah, we expect it to be in 25. It still hasn't happened, so, but
Okay.
we won't be receiving the grants until we actually start working.
And so am I understanding it right that it's going to be 5.25 million? And the grant is a 2.2 plus 7? Is that how I understood you? to say
About
that?
50% reimbursement, right?
50% reimbursement,
Dave?
yeah.
Dave Stewart took 50% reimbursement, yeah.
50% up to that threshold.
And actually, that was a number that was established long ago, so the cost of the project keeps going up, but the grant is gonna stay the same,
Correct.
right? So,
And then, okay, and with that said, if the cost of the project continues to go up, what is holding it up that it's not started yet?
I'm not sure I'd be able to answer that one, dude.
Right.
Actually, the delay right now is right of way. We have one property owner that owns 2 parcels that we're having to go through condemnation proceedings to get the necessary right of way for the project.
And that's actively
Yes.
happening. Thank you.
Is there any other questions for David?
Yeah, I have one more.
Yes. go
You
ahead.
said some stuff changed.
Oh.
From what you gave us,
Right.
but you didn't really elaborate on that.
Oh, well, mainly the items that we talked about at but the biggest items are the COLA and STEP. Those were not included in the version that was discussed at the work session. Okay.
That was all there was, thank you.
Is there any other questions? Hearing none, this is the appropriate for motion for first reading. So moved, Stephen.
Second,
The motion and the second should approve physical budget for 2025-26. Have first reading. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Against? Ayes have it. Next, we have 9, or no, sorry. Oh, no, I did not. Mr. O'Keefe made a very good point here. That was a public hearing. I should have handled that and had any audience discussion under that. So we'll back up, and continue the public hearing and ask if anybody from the audience has any discussion or any questions on the 2025 and 26 physical budget. Anybody from the audience come up and ask any questions? Yes, sir. And we also will have second reading, so there will be time to look over what's being proposed and ask questions.
Yeah, I just wanted, there was one point where you said it was 96 million, I think, and I don't remember the exact part of it. But on the slide, it was like 96,700 something.
The balance of the capital fund.
Oh, right, yeah.
Is
That is
96,000.
At the end of 26, it should be about $97,000.
Okay, and you did say million when you were
Oh,
doing it, so that's what I wanted to get clear.
It's our standard practice to try to keep about 180,000 in there.
I wish I could get my thousands and millions straight.
Hey, you can find some millions.
Director Grammar.
Is there anybody else under public hearing portion of citizens' comments? Anybody else? I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and ask that we move down the agenda. Item 9, there's nothing been removed from, communications. Unfinished business, is there anything amongst this? For unfinished business? Hearing none, mayor and council reports. We got the July 9th work session agenda items. Is there any discussion?
I hear something wrong.
Sure.
I would like to bring something up. David and I have been talking about something to do for the people of St. Louis for the tornadoes, and thank you, Victor, for bringing that up also. We were trying to think of a way to help them from the city of Hazelwood. There's really, the only way we can think of helping them is that David has found a website that they have out there. So we're going to put the website on our newsletter and Facebook page and social media. So the city of Hazelwood can go on there and see what they have to help them. Because on their website, they have to where their donations of what they need. They also have places to where you can also go in and see where they need help. So if, you know, if you're able to help them, they have places where you can go and help. Or if you can donate, they have places where you can donate. So it's like, it's not where you know you're giving it to a reasonable organization, so it's not a fake organization. So once we get it up and out there, that'll be our way of the Hazelwood community to help the St. Louis city, you know, to help them. Because I drove down the other day and my house that I grew up in is totally destroyed. Oh my. And that was just devastated to see that. And to see that city. And that's why I asked David that we need to help. You know, and to actually see people from everywhere coming to help the city of St. Louis. Hazelwood needs to step up, and I know people from everywhere would help us, and I know people has helped us when we needed them. So this would be our way to step up and help the city of St. Louis. So thank you for bringing that up.
Well, thank you.
And that helped me to remember to bring this up. So we will get this out there and it'll be our way to help. So we'll get that out there. Thank you, Mayor.
No problem.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
Was there any discussion on the July 9th work session? Hearing none, board and commission appointments. I didn't receive any tonight. There's no board or commission appointments. We have 11C, we have the public meeting decorum. I believe the council's gotten some information recently of how public comments are handled in other municipalities and some ideas that we may have. There's been some discussion about the clarity of how we handle public comments and that we might need to discuss this on at a future council meeting. So we added this to the agenda for discussion. You've gotten some information. I believe it just came across me yesterday that Robert's Rules of Orders, it's quoted in the charter that we must follow certain areas. Well, and I know it needs clarity, but I had asked Julie today to look up and she said she found Robert's Rules of Order and public something, you sent it to us, but I haven't had a chance to read it. And I believe that particular document may answer a lot of our questions. And I don't think that we've probably been way too far away from it, being respectful and allowing people time and to make their public comments so that the council can move on and do their business of the agenda items that are on the agenda. So it's up for discussion. Here's to see what the council has to say.
Did you send us, Julie, did you send us the Robert's Rules of Order?
No, I just started looking at it.
She was just researching it
Okay,
the same
sorry,
day.
I just didn't,
I didn't
I'm not
talk to her
familiar.
about it until about
Julie,
2:30.
the same one that's copied on Overland.
I don't know what's copied on Overland. I would have to look through my book. I mean, I did some really quick research this afternoon. I didn't have a lot of time to get too far into it.
Yeah, I didn't talk to her until 2:30, 3:00, so I didn't expect her to have anything ready or ask her to have anything ready for tonight. But I think those are potential things that we could look at. We don't have to decide anything. We have our discussion and take a look at that and come back and vote this in with the rest of the policy when we get to that. And
Mayor, so,
Yes.
so we're looking at examples here and then we're gonna pull and make our own.
exactly. I'm just telling you that the vet act, let's try not to make a decision, full decision tonight, because you do have what I just discussed under Robert's Rules of Order, that we may be duplicating some of that, you know, which we can discuss, but I'm just letting you know that it may already be addressed under that form. And I'd like to say during public comment, there's nothing I do as mayor or say, as I did tonight, without a majority of council can override me or agree with me in anything I say or do. And I've heard from council members about time limit on public comment. And I've seen tonight several people turn around and look at me like, hey, is it 15 minutes up? And I could feel that you guys were wanting to enforce that time. At any time, you guys could have said, hey, we want to hear from this speaker further and make a motion and vote on it. If there's a majority of council members, you got the floor. It's not me. I'm just trying to go by what I feel is the right, respectful thing to do.
I think it's only fair, you know, for our citizens to voice their, you know, their opinions when they're out there to talk, to give them time to speak, so.
I agree, but I think there needs to be clarification, because even tonight, I think there was some confusion of what the actual time limit is. Is it
Yeah.
15 per person? Or is it 15 total? And so that, I would just like that to be clarified for myself and for the residents. That would be helpful.
A total of 15 minutes.
Okay. So it's not per person.
No,
Okay.
it's a total of 15 minutes for all public comments, but we've never enforced. it.
No, and I'm not
We've
saying,
never-
yeah, no, I'm just saying like tonight I thought it was per person, just the way it was said.
No, I
Okay.
had said, at the end, I had said you've exceeded your time and said for all public comment, meaning I could just close.
Yeah,
But we've never enforced it.
Right.
We've always allowed it.
well, I don't know if anybody's gonna start, but for me, I looked at what Julie had presented at some of the other cities, and my thought was, I very much like the way the city of Festus laid out both their rules and then the enforcement. I don't think that every bullet, every number applies to us, but I would like us to maybe use this as our example. That being said, without me having seen recently Robert's rules to go off of that, but I do like the way that Festus policy is laid out very, very clear.
I think yes, I agree. There are some good points in what the city of Festus has laid out. I do have some questions in regards to the informing ahead of time what's going to be discussed. I think we need to keep it to what the business at hand at that night, or to just, if a resident thinks we wants to voice that they disagreed with an action that we've taken recently, they should have that opportunity as well.
I hear what you're saying, but I do disagree that comments should only be what's on the agenda. I know for me, a lot of residents, because there's an issue they want to bring to the council. Case in point, there was a situation last year, as you guys can recall, in Riverwood Trails with dogs and we had a large crowd that came on that, that wasn't an agenda item. I would not like to have a barrier where residents can't come and say what they need to say. So for me, I think, a time limit is great. If they need to put something in writing in advance, that's fine. But I don't want it to be limited to where it's only what's on the agenda, because sometimes our agendas are short and there's not anything pertaining to what their issue is.
That we definitely need to make sure that the forum is an open and inviting
Right.
place for our residents to come up and speak their mind,
Exactly.
both positively and constructively.
And just for me, my biggest point is I don't want to create a barrier for residents to speak out. I want them to be able to come to the podium, say what they want to say, tell us how they feel, express their opinion. But my biggest problem is I want them to have their time to say that. And then I want every person in the room to have their time, but then I want every person to be respectful of the others who are in the room, whether it's staff or businesses or the council. So speak your mind, say what you want to say, but I think some of the other activity that happens in the background, some heckling and things like that happen, I would like to have that stop.
You're not the first one that has discussed that with me, but thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think that, the Oberlin one was just short, and simple, and it definitely addressed a lot of the issues. I think that, personal attacks for being and coming up in a respectful manner, refrain from vulgar and profane language. And then it says here, each speaker is allowed 3 minutes. So I think that when we address all of it, let them know, like you do, when you at the beginning, let them know that say, hey, it's gonna be a total of 15 minutes or whatever we decide to do. And that way the public knows that they can come up and know that, we want them to be respectful and, come prepared to speak,
Any other discussion? Then I'll go ahead and we'll work on developing something out of what we think you guys have discussed tonight, and we'll compare it to Robert's Rules of Order, and encourage you guys to look those over, not only on the public comment portion of Robert's Rules, but take a look at the whole thing. I mean, my last time of reviewing that was in 8th grade speech class.
You don't have it memorized?
No. But as I was wondering about it the last 24 hours, I believe all mayors and council members before us have respectfully done what we're trying to do here respectfully. It never tried cutting anybody off. I just want to keep it respectful. And so that we can move on and do the business on hand that we're here to do on the agenda. That's the most important, is that we have time to have our discussions, take care of our business here, and also hear from public comment in a good way. So,
Mayor, would there be on that, as also like whatever set of rules or whatever however we describe that, will there be how to say, where we can respond to them, like,
yeah, you
say, hey, we'll
I-
respond to you next meeting or something,
Well, like I had this discussion with Robert, a few weeks ago. We had somebody at the podium that was, basically asking questions to try and create dialogue, and I had stopped, and then it actually continued later from the audience seat level. And which is a no-no, what Jen had just said, that we need to get a grip on what's going on in our meeting. But as I explained to Robert, I was not cutting off the councilman. I was advising the resident that they cannot have dialogue and ask questions and create conversation with council members, whether it be under public comment or from any time throughout the agenda. The council member can explain, identify, detail, give definition of what they think on the project and have any answers they want back. But at that point in time, there was going back and forth and we weren't even on that section of the agenda. So I wanted to make sure Robert knew that. I called him the next day and said, I didn't hope you didn't think I cut you off, but I was saying that the citizen could not do what they were doing. He could have continued on. So council member can ask questions for clarity or anything else, or, we don't want to get into defense of any project, code enforcement or anything. This isn't the time to do that. We don't have all the information on us, so. But, in general, you can be respectful and ask questions back and clarify any questions that they have. Or clarify any information they have. So council members have the right to ask questions and under public comment. It's just the fact that, that the public can't come and lay out the agenda all through public comment and what we're gonna do in the meeting and how we're gonna react to the rest, or so forth.
Right, I think that's slippery because we've done that in the past where we sort of opened it up to where the public has started sort of a back and forth banter with us and we've responded and gone back and forth. And then there's been other times where other people have come up and they've asked questions and they've been told like, we don't respond. So we just need to be consistent. So if we're going to do something where a resident comes up and they ask questions and then somebody's gonna respond, we just need to make sure we're consistent with everybody. One of the things I like is the way that our neighbors over in Florissant, the beginning of their public comment, they make it known that this is not a back and forth, that we will respond to you at the information that the email or the address that you provided, we'll give you an answer within 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever. And then that gives us time to respond to their concerns and stuff. And there's not this back and forth banter. Just because that sometimes is seen as it can escalate. That's my thought.
Just as consistently, it's hard to be consistent in that situation. Just from our last meeting, we had two individuals come up from over in Butch's ward about their residents. They had been here before. They had just talked to Chief Hudnick prior to the meeting. A lot of their stuff was, hey, you guys are doing a great job, but they had some questions on how this was going to happen this summer and when it was going to be enforced. I had dialogue with them and told them and talked to them about that's something I knew right away. It was fixed, done. They were happy. The future was okay. A lot of times we don't know what's going on.
Right.
So we have to say, hey, let's look into this and get the right information before we start having dialogue here of public comments. So that's a little tricky one, depending on the subject that's coming in front of us. If I can satisfy a resident right here at public comment and say, yes, I agree, or no, your information, call David tomorrow, he'll get you this. That's the end of it. It doesn't have to be reported at the next meeting or anything else. So every situation is going to be different on how we answer back to that resident due to the subject that they're asking for. And a lot of times in the past, it's never gone by, except when we don't know what they're talking about, and it's code enforcement, and many addresses or whatever else. We need to report for ourselves before we answer back or before David answers back, or the city manager or staff, whoever's working on that topic. But to be consistent, be careful because we can't, it depends on the subject that comes in front of us. We may not always have the answer right here in front of us.
I understand.
But anybody else? Anything else? Review that, the Robert's Rules of Orders, not only for the public portion, comment portion of the meeting, but.
Just read the whole thing.
I'm not saying the whole thing. I know it's pretty, I got the paper back if you want it, still in the drawer from 8th grade,
Read this weekend.
Yeah.
So once we decide on this, will we make it public as well?
Oh, yeah. It'll be our first policy out of several that we're discussing this summer on that we discussed earlier about the way, you had asked 3 months ago about jobs and duties of the council and everything else and all this other stuff. And Julie's kind of been working on that. This just surfaced. This was most interesting on the council. I thought, let's get this one first, and then we'll kind of take a couple others down the road that, and, have these same discussions. It's too big to do all in one night. So,
I think it's good.
but that is the plan, the policy, the stuff that we had talked about in the past has not been forgotten. It has been being worked on. It's just kind of a little difficult to categorize it and prioritize it, and bring it to you guys. But this was number one. If there's no further business under that subject, we'll move on to the mayor and council reports.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes,
Am I to draft something to bring back, or we're gonna review something?
yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
Okay.
And they can, something combined to what they talked about.
Okay.
And we'll add this to the agenda for the next meeting too.
Great.
So anything else in the mayor and council report?
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question. In regards to the Cameron, Missouri tree trimming notice, it said there in the communication that they communicate with the property owner. Do they ever communicate with the city?
Not to me, I don't know. Dave, do they ever communicate with
Can we
you?
request that? It'd be nice if we had an idea of what areas are being trimmed, and maybe we can weigh in and say, I think you need to look here, look there, and at least we know what's being done in our city.
Yeah, we'll definitely
Mr.
have a
Smith?
question.
At the top of that communication, it's kind of difficult to see, but it outlines 3 areas, and I don't know what the substations are. The first one's Carrollton, then Howard Shell and Quad. Those were the areas that I took to be that they were working on.
Yeah, but some of those are,
And that's all the communication, that's all that comes in that communication.
right.
Yeah,
Like I said, it does say that they'll reach out to the property owner. I'm just asking if they could also maybe have a communication dialogue with the city as well.
We will make those a question.
Okay, thank you.
Isn't that what you get? Like what you posted?
Mhm.
Isn't that their dialogue? With us?
Is there anything else in the mayor and council reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to the city manager's report, consideration amendment of 2 pay plan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, before you is a memo I've prepared regarding the amendment of the current pay plan. We've had to make certain changes to it, and I want to address to your attention. Serving as your interim city manager, we've made some adjustments to departments such as movement of the code enforcement, which also created changes to pay plans to pay salaries. Those decisions also took a couple of positions out of the normal pay plan schedule, which we are trying to correct that. As my memo outlines, the way it's been working out thus far, of the 2 that've been put out, I can only adjust one at this juncture, put it back in. And then with the advent of a new pay plan, which is something we always do every 3 years, next year is the time for us to do it again. We will see if we can make the proper adjustments and get the other salary back into line with the pay plan. So we're making that adjustments. Also in the pay plan year, we'll see some changes we made to job titles, some promotions such as that. For example, Nikki, we moved her up to community development coordinator. She now oversees our zoning officer and all the zoning and planning and the like. So we created that new position and moved that up. We've also, I've made some other changes that have no true impact on the pay plan, just to get some clarity to it. One of the changes that I made was, and again, this is not, this is for me clarity. I don't want it to appear that it's a penalty of any type, but Dave Tuberty was identified as Assistant City Manager, Director of Finance. And if you take a look at number of unusual organizational structures, you have when you have an Assistant City Manager, the organizational structure means that person is above the other directors, the police chief, fire chief, the public works director. But the way we have it structured, he's on the same level as everybody else. So, when I talked to David about this, and I said, what I'd like to do is just remove the assistant city manager's job, just make your director of finance, because none of the other directors report to you for clarity and the like. Also, when we were looking at it, and I also want to say thanks to the finance department and to Julie for helping me work on this. We saw some inconsistencies. For example, Doug Littlefield is sometimes identified as the Parks and Recreation Director. On the website, he's the Parks and Recreation Superintendent. Again, clarity and consistency, we're just going to make a superintendent, no change in salary or title or positions and the like. Additionally, we were looking at the pay plan, and there's some jobs that have not been filled in a long time that we are not going to fill. Case in point, I serve as your assistant city manager for economic development. We also had a position in there for an economic developer. That position has not been filled in, I don't know how many years. And so I don't see us filling that job. So we're going to take that out. The position that Nikki Miller formerly was in, again, we're not going to backfill that. We're taking that position out of the pay plan. And making some changes and adjustments to that. So overall, we are trying to make the pay plan more consistent, the organizational chart more consistent. We are, again, some of the decisions I made kind of adjusted the pay plan as it in an improper way, but it was the right decision to make. So I'm asking that you will take a look at the pay plan, that you will approve this pay plan. And we instituted for the next year. That also does include the 3.5% pay increase and the COLAs and the like. I'm open to any questions, concerns, or comments that you have regarding this.
Is there any questions for David? Is that all you have, David?
No, I have some
On the
more.
paper.
I have other reports, but I'll wait until
No, I
after
gotta finish the paper.
yeah, that's all I have on the pay plan.
Any other questions for the pay plan with David? Hearing none, and we have to vote on amendment to the pay plan, and then we can vote to approve the pay plan for our first reading. So first up would be amendment to the pay plan as discussed. Is there any amendment? Need a first and a second.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second to amend the pay plan. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Those against, nay. Isn't there an order?
Yes.
There is. Yes, I'm just amending the first part of it, and then I was gonna go to first and second. Okay.
Never
Okay, so now we're gonna approve for first reading. Is there any discussion? If not, is there a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second now.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the amended pay plan. And this will be a roll call. Oh, no, this is just going on for first reading, so all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have consideration of fuel purchase for fiscal year of 2026. David?
Okay, let's jump in. And rather do this, then I'll give the rest of my report in.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, David Stewart, Public Works Director. Annually, we bid for the gasoline and diesel fuel that we use for city vehicles and equipment. On May 21st, 2025, one bid was received from Energy Petroleum Company, and that bid was at the rate of 6.5 cents per gallon for profit and delivery by the contractor. That results based on our estimated fuel use for the fiscal year and just under $6,000 cost for that profit and delivery to receive the fuel from the vendor. Monies are budgeted for fuel within their respective departments. As lowest responsible bidder, staff recommends award a bid to Energy Petroleum Company.
Any questions for David?
Did anybody else bid?
No, just the sole bid. Energy Petroleum is the contractor that we've had this past year, and we've had them for many years. Years prior, we've had two bidders, that kind of alternate, but just in the last couple of years, it's just been Energy Petroleum, but they do a good job for us and they're recommended.
Any other further questions?
I know they do have most of the municipality in the St. Louis County contract, so.
And they are very responsive. There've been a couple of times that because of snow and the like, our gas has been almost empty and we've called them up and they helped us out, so. Customer service has been very good.
Any other questions? This is a budgeted item. All we need to do is concur with staff on this purchase. Was there a motion?
Move to, I'm reading first.
No, concur, just concur.
Move to concur. Yeah.
Been a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Consideration of agreement for the Hazelwood Parks and Recreation Security Services.
Included in next year's budget, we have monies for security services at the Parks and Rec facilities. This includes both community centers for next fiscal year, and then it includes the Aquatic Center for the 2026 season. We're already under contract with another contractor for this 2025 pool season. Bids were received for this work on May 30th, 2025. Low bid was the amount of $94,235.25. That bid came from Century Security Agency of St. Louis. Staff recommends award a bid to Century Security Agency of St. Louis in that aforementioned amount. And I would like to thank the police department who actually helped kind of bridge the gap with some additional security services prior to us getting this contract lined up.
Is there any questions for David?
What was the budget for that?
The budget, it did come in a little bit over budget. The budget was 77,000. That number was based on the current contractor that we're using. The current contractor that we're using it was kind of a 13-week contract. They did not bid and we're okay with that. They were struggling with staffing. So I think as we're learning in the security world, you get what you pay for. And our hopes with this contractor that's a little bit more than what we're currently paying, that we'll get more consistent service.
Okay, so then how are you making out for the difference?
Just would be part of the, throughout the general fund expenses throughout the year. Some things come in lower, some things come in higher, but overall.
Any other questions for David? This would be a first reading, so the motion to approve and put on for first reading would be appropriate.
Put it on first reading.
Second. There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Anything else under city manager's report?
Yes, a few other things, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to report that today we've executed a contract with the Ferguson Florissant School District to provide a school resource officer for its restoration and wellness school on Dunn Road. I want to applaud the police department and Chief Putnick for that. The city will station one SRO at the school, and we'll also have our DARE officer who will go back and forth from the Hazelwood schools to the Ferguson Florissant school on that. Just as a reminder, talking to the chief, right now we have 3 SROs assigned to the Hazelwood School District along with our DARE officer. Ferguson Florissant was very excited about doing this. So again, I want to applaud the police. We know that it's been a success in Hazelwood and it will continue to be a success with Ferg Floor. I want to remind everybody that the biannual, the Historic Preservation Commission will be hosting the St. Louis Homes Tour a week from Saturday. That's June 14th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We will again be out at Brooks Park with showcasing, the Teton House, the Kanabe House, and the Little Red Schoolhouse. We are part of over 30 organizations that will be participating in that, including Florissant, Webster Groves, Ferguson, Overland, Crestwood, and Bridgeton. White Birch Bay Teen Night will be hosting this Friday night from 7 to 10 p.m. Everyone attending must have a ticket, and it's restricted to ages 13 to 17. Also, on the 14th of June is our annual Recycle Day, hosted by our Green Committee. The event will run from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and take place at the same location as last year's, which is 321 James S. McDonald Boulevard, the Boeing property. We have sent out postcards. I hope that you have seen that postcard in the mail, and this has been a very popular event, and we expect this to be, again, a popular event. And finally, today we were paid a visit by Mayor Bridget McAndrew of Clayton and City Manager Clayton David Gibson. They, as you know, 2 weeks ago, Public Works sent crews out to help clean up in Clayton and Richmond Heights to address the tornado issue and the like. And as a token of their appreciation, excuse me, they gave us a saw. So they gave it to me, and the most dangerous thing in my hand, aside from a microphone, is a power tool, which I am going to gladly hand over to David Stewart. But they were appreciative of what our public works crews did, and this was a token of their appreciation. And we did say thank you for that. So it's very kind of them. So, but I did want to let you know that we got this nice gift from them. Very cool.
Put it down, David.
I promise. I'll hand it to Dave Stewart tonight and let him take care of it from that point on. Thank you, sir.
City Attorney's report. We didn't cut you off, did we?
I'm glad we can do that during the budget conversation.
Nice to meet you, Sarah. I will remind the council, I think I'm reminding, you, I will not be at your next meeting. Mr. Boyd, my partner, will be there. Thank you. I'll miss you too. And I don't have anything else unless you have any questions. You know, I'll miss you. Thanks, careful.
You have some little report on this public comment portion of the meeting that we had, the long, expensive TIF project.
And the city of Hazelwood has not approved the TIF project in at least 20 years. There was no TIF project approved at your last meeting. Hasn't been for decades. The TIF law, the last TIF project the city approved expired a few years ago. Very successful. So I'm not certain. The only economic development activity that I believe you all engaged in the last meeting did not involve any real property tax abatement. It was a authorization to indicating that you will later consider and intend hopefully to approve a state approved economic development incentive program that will involve personal property taxes only. And in response to the question about what happens when people vacate, leave empty storefronts, this arrangement that the council approved requires the recipient of the program, participant in the program, the company, to provide 48 jobs at or above $70,000 a year. If they don't get the benefits. If they leave, they don't get the benefits. If they don't keep doing business, they don't get the benefits. There is no loss of real property tax to any taxing district or to the city. So I'm not sure what was in mind, but the program is one that the city has used to fill unused economic development sites in the city very successfully for many years. And whatever good or ill TIF work, TIF incentive programs they offer, you all haven't used them in decades. So, just so that no one gets a misunderstanding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And they'll still not be at the next. Darn.
City clerk's report.
Tonight before you is consideration of a bill which amends a portion of the fire code and creates a new chapter to regulate mobile food vendors and the licensing requirements and regulations for that. So the proposed bill updates the fire prevention code, creates a new chapter to regulate mobile food vendors and outdoor commercial cooking. The intent is to improve public safety by reducing fire risks associated with food trucks and similar operations, while also setting clear licensing and operating requirements for those businesses. In collaboration with our finance department, our fire department, and our police department, as well as input from our city attorney's office. A draft ordinance was developed and some highlights follow that. Some of the fire code updates state that, the food trucks and outdoor cooking operations that produce smoke or grease laden vapors, they must follow updated fire safety rules. So our 2021 code that was just adopted recently. And they will require on-site inspections by both our fire department, our deputy fire marshal, Steve Welsh, and our building department before any operations, can cease. There's some licensing requirements is that all mobile food vendors will have a valid city business license and undergo fire safety inspections. They will submit a detailed application, much like our liquor license application, and they will go through a criminal background check and disclosure. They will also have to have proof of a valid St. Louis County health permit. Licensing fees for the mobile food vendors will be $50 per vehicle annually. Some operating rules that I would like to highlight are they cannot operate in residential areas or on private streets unless hired for private events. And they are prohibited from selling any alcohol, and they must post no solicitation signs. And really the ordinance is being put in place because we lacked thereof. They were, mobile food vendors were getting peddler hawker license, which really wasn't appropriate for that use. And this will strengthen our fire safety measures, ensure mobile food vendors operate in a manner that is safe and lawful and respectful of all of our residents. And if you guys have any other questions, I'm happy to try to answer.
So for that, is that like, we don't have food vendors and then a business, let's say, hires food vendors for their employees that they have to get one each time? I heard that.
So a business is having like a food truck event?
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to, those food trucks would need to come here and get licensing.
Each time.
No.
I mean, there's
no,
a
no.
50, there's a 1 year 50 thing that's to come, but let's
If
say
it's-
they don't come for 6 months.
Oh, yeah, then they would have to come back and have the inspections and everything redone.
Okay, that was my question.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Julie?
So when you say the liquor ones, because I know there are some liquor,
Not in Hazelwood.
so the vendor, so they're not allowed in Hazelwood.
This draft legislation strictly prohibits it.
Okay. Because I know there are some out there. I just didn't know if they were. Okay. I'll remember that.
Any other questions? Any other questions?
I have one question. If we happen to have a catastrophic event, Man Meats brings his food truck here to feed the residents, he's not charging, so this wouldn't require him to fall under this, correct?
And it seems reasonable that
Okay.
it wouldn't, that he's giving away food, especially because he really goes into towns and he is feeding first responders and stuff,
I just
so.
wanna make sure we're not putting any barriers.
No,
in
that would be
deterrent
reasonable.
For someone that's doing absolutely wonderful work in the neighborhood.
Any other questions for June? Any other questions? Hearing none. You put this on for first reading at your pleasure.
Make the motion, put on first reading.
Motion and a second to put this on for first reading. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Is that all under city clerk's report?
Yes, sir.
Nothing under commission board reports, new business, anything under new business for city council members? Hearing none, we'll move forward with first reading of bills. Where's the list?
Need some assistance.
I get them updated, okay. Sorry. Look almost. Bill number 5168, first reading, an ordinance authorizing and granting permanent special land use permit to Baladna LLC for a restaurant fast food at 322 Taylor Road and providing the conditions of such use. Bill number 5169, first reading, an ordinance approving the budget of the city of Hazelwood, Missouri for fiscal year 2025-2026 and appropriating the sums contained therein, for purposes and objects therein. Excuse me, bill number 5170, first reading, an ordinance amending ordinance 510-24 and adopting a new pay plan for the 2025-2026 fiscal year for employees of the city of Hazelwood, Missouri. Bill number 5171, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Century Security Agency of St. Louis Incorporated for security services at Parks and Recreation Facility at a cost not to exceed $94,235.25. Bill number 5172, first reading, an ordinance amending provisions of the Fire Prevention Code to regulate mobile food vendors and outdoor commercial cooking processes to reduce fire risks associated with such operations, and further amending the municipal code by the addition of a new chapter establishing licensing requirements and regulations for mobile food vendors. And if I may please call the council's attention to the first matter, Bill 5168, so that we don't have to amend it later. There was a typo in the original draft that circulated, which in the last line of the conditions required of the permittee, the security video has to be capable of being retrieved, not relieved,
Said retried.
or retried. And that has been corrected and will be corrected on the execution. Thank you, Mr. Brown. That concludes first reading of bills.
There's nothing under second reading of bills. Item 19, we have miscellaneous business and announcements. We have a regular city council meeting on June 18th, 6:30 PM. We also have our 4th of July coming up on the 4th of July. Let's please remember that. And then also, let's please remember what Lisa brought up, that there are, the webpage is directing us to the St. Louis website. So if there's no further business for the city council, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Tim. Second.
A motion, a second? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. We'll move into closed